Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. Today, I'm so happy to welcome Jane Pilger. She is a mastered certified binge eating coach, and through her own journey, she really found her, as she says, like her purpose through her pain. And guides women to food freedom, and she helps them overcome binge eating and that journey and heal themselves. So thank you for joining me, Jane.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I look forward to wherever this conversation takes us today. I know it'll be powerful for your listeners.
Absolutely. And I love your story of, resilience. And as I just mentioned, could you tell me kind of like, or walk me through your journey of turning, a very, one would say maybe negative experience, your struggle we spoke about with binge eating and how you overcame that and then turned it into a business. And now that you coach people to, go through those similar struggles, I think is just
Yeah.
so inspiring and empowering.
Yeah. So my very first binge was well, let me even back up before my
Yeah.
first binge. I remember my first binge itself was in college, but I remember some periods of time before that kind of having a focus on food, focus on my body. There are some kind of key points in time, really kind of in my childhood. I have a distinct memory of being probably 4 or 5 years old, probably 5 years old, hiding in the pantry, eating brown sugar with a out of the jar with a spoon. So I have these kind of distinct memories of certain periods of time, but the binge eating itself started in college. And I don't really have a clear memory of the binge itself, but what I remember so clearly, like it was yesterday, is the aftermath. I was sent a care package to my college dorm room. It was a box filled with miniature size candy bars, and I ate the entire box in one sitting. And I remember sitting on the floor in my dorm room, just surrounded by that empty cardboard box, wrappers all around me, and just thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? I cannot believe I just ate the whole thing. And that really was kind of the beginning of over 25 years of trying to stop binge eating. And there was so much shame in what I had done, in how much I had eaten. And I could not let anybody else know what I was doing. And so there was kind of simultaneously this shame and this need to keep it a secret, but this drive to stop it. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that I was doing to try to stop were actually perpetuating the
Mhm.
behavior itself. And of course, I did not know that. I then, but I kept looking. I just knew there has got to be a way. I've got to figure this out.
Mhm.
So it was a long journey. Many eating disorder therapists, programs, books, podcasts. Once podcasts were a thing, listening to podcasts. I actually went through 2 rounds of a intensive outpatient program at a local eating disorders therapy center here. And through it all, I remember thinking, if I ever figure this out, I want to help other people do the same, because I want to help other people not have to be in it, either not have to be in as much pain, or at least understand that they're not alone. Because some of the most powerful experiences, if I really look back on my journey, in some of my lowest moments, some of my most powerful experiences were with somebody who understood, somebody
Mhm.
who had the compassion to, like, oh, of course you binged, or of course you feel that way, or here's why, let me help you understand what's going on. And being able to kind of now be that compassionate source of insight and of wisdom, and of being able to help people see what they can't see on their own, it's just such a powerful thing. And now is something that I just absolutely love doing, like really helping people understand this is why, this is what's going
Mhm.
on for you, and helping them see really through a lens that they can't see on their own.
Yeah, no, I love that too. And I know we spoke about this when we first met, but it seems like you saw a pattern in your
Yep.
life. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
and the one thing that I noticed, I think we talked about this, that you either repair or you repeat it or you repress it, as you
Yes.
gave me that insight. And I think it takes some learning, right? I know in my journey, not I mean binge eating was not one of my coping mechanisms, but you often it takes you a while to kind of like, I guess, the for lack of a better term, experiment, and you have to do a lot of like self, reflection to see like what is go like I keep going to this certain thing and it's not
Yes.
giving me a different result. So it's kind of, and I hate to say it because like that's all life is. It is a lot of trial and error.
It really is. And if we can look at it as an experiment, I mean, that really is the key is can I look at this as an experiment? Can I try
Hmm.
something different? Can I really, just look at it through the lens of curiosity? What
Hmm.
happens, especially with binge eating, I mean, it happens anytime we're showing up in a way that we don't prefer, that doesn't really line up with who we just truly know ourselves to be at the core. And we
Hmm.
end up, when we do those things, we have shame and judgment.
Hmm.
And that shame and that judgment, where we take it personally and we think, I am bad, I am
Yeah.
broken, there's something wrong with me. It's the shame and the judgment that prevents us from really being able to get curious, to look at different things, to experiment, to try something different. I really look at when I talk about binge eating, I really see binges, overeats, anytime you show up with food when you're like, that is not the way that either I wanted or I anticipated or whatever. I really see it as lights on the dashboard. So it's
Hmm.
telling us there's something under the hood, something we need to look at under the hood. And it's just like when your one of your lights comes on in your own dashboard in your car, if you ignore it, the car is at some point something is going to happen to the car. It's not
Yep.
going to keep working. Let's say you don't get any gas or you don't put oil in or whatever. If you just ignore those lights, there is going to be a pretty significant consequence for your car. It's the same for us. But if we
Hmm.
can see the lights as, oh, something's going on, I need to just get under the hood and figure out. But what happens is this: people think like, well, I just need to focus on the behavior, the food itself.
Mm.
And I just need to change what I'm eating, or I need to get all that, sugar out of the house or whatever it is. That's the problem. And the equivalent there is like, we're just putting duct tape over the
Hmm.
dashboard. We're not actually getting under the hood to see what's happening. And if we go back to the shame and the judgment, I like to see shame and judgment as like the 50-pound weight that ends up on the hood of the car. So we
Mm.
can't even open up
You
the
can't
hood
even
to
lift it. You can't even lift it.
exactly
Yeah.
to see what's underneath, because shame and judgment are there. Now, it's much easier said than done to say, oh, well, just set aside shame and
Yeah, right.
judgment when you've
Not
had this
easy.
pattern. No, not easy at all. But if we can shift from shame and from judgment into curiosity and compassion, I mean, it really is the beginning of everything, because now I can see it differently. I can look through a different lens. I can say, oh, I get it. I see why. That makes sense. Now I'm more willing to try something different instead of just kind of repeating those same patterns over and over again.
Yeah, and I will say, as somebody, I'm very aware of my feelings. I know, like, it is said there are no bad feelings, but I will say shame, I think we can all agree, is a
Yes.
horrible feeling.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I've experienced it in my life and it is crippling.
Yeah.
So, I think that's important that you brought that up, is that especially with binge eating and, wanting to keep that a secret, not giving it the light. And thank you so much for giving people this platform to
Yeah.
be vulnerable and talk about it, because I think it is one of those things that, as you said, you do, hiding behind the scenes, you don't want
Yes.
anybody to know, and that adds another just layer of
Yes.
complexity to overcoming it.
Absolutely. I mean, shame thrives in the darkness. I mean,
Mm,
thank you, Brene Brown, for teaching us all
yes.
about shame. I mean, before she came around, we didn't even have words for it. And so
Mm,
much of her work is so powerful. But she's right in that shame cannot survive the light. But
no.
I mean, there are so many things that shame wants us to stay small. It wants us to hide. And there really is a lot of shame around binge eating. And there's a lot of shame around any unwanted behavior. And
Hmm.
so it really is that shame that keeps it makes it feel so big. And so when you can, if you are listening to this and you struggle with food, even if you're like, I don't really know about binge eating, but yeah, there are definitely times where like I don't like the way that I eat, or I feel like I eat certain things or I eat in certain ways, and then I
Hmm.
feel really bad about myself. Like I kind of make it like I'm a failure because I ate that way or I ate those things. The most important thing you can do really is to have a safe person that you can talk to about these things. Because
Hmm.
if we keep it a secret, that shame that thrives in the darkness and grows in the darkness, it just gets bigger and bigger. And what we resist persists. And when we try to stop
Absolutely.
and we try to not do the thing, it's like we end up doing more and more. And that is why so many of those experiences of some of the most powerful things for me have been just being seen,
Mm.
being understood with this kind of compassionate response that was just not available to me at all. And so, whatever that is, whether you find that through a supportive professional, whether you have somebody in your life who you are able to talk to about these things, the hardest thing is to keep it to
The dark.
yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes, so I have a podcast. It's called the Binge Eating Breakthrough Podcast. And so many people will contact me and they say, oh, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for
Hmm.
telling me what it's like, because then I don't feel so alone. So
Hmm.
that because so many people are, there are way more people struggling with food and struggling with binge eating than anybody ever knows, because nobody
Absolutely.
wants to talk about it. And so having stories, being able for people to know you're not alone is like, oh, just that right there. There's relief in understanding, oh, it's not just me. I'm not broken. And that really is kind of my ultimate goal, is to help people
Hmm.
understand why
Hmm.
you're doing this. And once we can understand why, we can see it through a different lens. Now we're not fighting it. We can work with it. We can experiment. We can do
Hmm.
different things. We can address all of the things that are happening under the hood that make those lights come on in the first place.
Absolutely. And I think for me personally, whatever behavior, and I love that you brought up, like you have to kind of go dig a little deeper to
Yeah.
know the why or what the root cause, whatever you may call it. Because
Yeah.
I feel like we all walk through the world and we have these behaviors and these coping mechanisms. And as we say, until you really look inward, I'm a big inner work girl. Um, that's where you're gonna find the answers. Because you can, let's just say, food is your coping mechanism or binge eating. You can always switch that behavior to something else, but the root
Yes.
cause is still there. You know what I mean? Like whether you switch from food to like, I don't know, oversleeping or working out, like what fill in the blank of X behavior until you break that pattern and heal it and repair it, you're always good. It's kind of like that whole saying with happiness, right? It's like don't they say like make yourself happy in the moment because if like instead of chasing it because
Yes.
once you get to a destination you're just going to be like the the finish line is just going to end up moving, so try
That's
to
right.
like like in the moment make yourself happy so you can enjoy the present,
Yes,
you know.
absolutely. And it is, I mean, it's all an inside job. It really is.
Yeah.
It's that inner work. And with food and binge eating specifically, we also have to make sure we're eating enough.
Yes, yeah, our
Sometimes,
bodies need
yeah,
food. I mean, let's yeah,
exactly.
yeah, no, like
Exactly. So, that's
we
not the
need
only thing.
nourishment.
Yes. Yes. So that's why there really are there's a number of different factors specifically for binge eating. There's really kind of 8 main reasons that people binge. They struggle with food, they feel out of control with food, and only really one of them actually has to do with food itself. And
Hmm.
that is just making sure you're eating enough, kind of the
Yes.
concept of restriction. Are you restricting foods just like physically in terms of not eating enough, in terms of kind of the extreme dieting? Are you mentally restricting, like, well, these foods are bad, these foods are
Hmm.
good, these foods will do these bad awful things to me, kind of creating some of that like fear around food itself, or what the food will do to you is a big factor for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I want to just bring up too, as women in society, I think that and not to say men don't struggle with eating and binge eating, but I do think there is that And you talked about, we talked about the shame. It's like that image, right? It's like
Yes.
that part of your eating and how you eat is so tied to our image, which, we are body shamed and beauty shamed as women every day in just
Yeah.
like marketing and advertising. So we always have to look like on the outside we're holding it together when maybe on the inside we're not.
Well, and there's no, I mean, the standard changes all the time. There is no like one ideal, and nobody really matches or meets the ideal. And
Mm-hmm.
it changes, we change, our bodies change. This is the thing that's really interesting. And I did not know this at all until I really got into this work. So if you are listening and food is a struggle for you, I want you to really think back to when your food struggles started. It's a really interesting question. So for some people, it's at a really young age. Some people are like, I mean, always, I cannot remember a time
Mm-hmm.
when I didn't struggle. For
Mm-hmm.
some people, it started at some point, maybe like in their teen years, maybe their parents worked and they came home after school and there was nobody there. And so they would, kind of eat a lot, kind of
Mm-hmm.
to create some of that connection. For
Mm-hmm.
some people, it started when, for a lot of people, disordered eating really comes with significant transitions. So it could be a
Mm-hmm.
transition in hormones. So let's say it started in your teens when you started kind of developing more hormones, and so your body starts changing. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're getting rounder, you're getting softer, which for so many people feels really threatening. And again, we have all the ideals and what society tells us and everything else. So for a lot of people, kind of like that puberty time frame can become a
Mm-hmm.
time where you become really aware of your body changing and not wanting it to change. For a lot of people, then this was me, college. College is a
Mm-hmm.
huge time for people to develop disordered eating. So for me, I had this. I had been on very restrictive diets in high school. So, kind of through that kind of body changing, everything else, I was on really restrictive diets. Then I went to college and I was away from all of
Mm-hmm.
my, kind of primary connections. I also, we never did emotions growing up. So I had zero
Mm.
emotional
Yeah.
capacity. So I have all of these other things going on. I tried to try it out for the volleyball team. I didn't make it. I have all of these
Uh-huh.
things going on, and all of them kind of came together at that point. Plus, you're also now in charge of your own food decisions,
Oh
all
yeah.
of them
Yeah.
for the
You're
first
on your
time.
own for the first
Yes,
time in your life.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
So
you have
college is
finally
a
have control over it.
that's
You know what
right.
I mean? Like
That's
it's
right.
not like mom's making dinner and you have to be home by no, you have full
That's
reign
right.
on what
So,
you're doing.
college is a really common time for people to develop disordered eating. The other time that is really common, that again, I didn't know until I started doing this work, is when in the kind of perimenopause window.
Mm.
Again, hormonal shifts, right? So,
Yes, yes.
before it's like we're getting a lot more hormones, and now our hormones are kind of dying off. And that comes with changes in our body. It just does. But
Mm-hmm.
every time, it's like if you think about every time through any hormonal changes, we have this idea that we shouldn't change, our body shouldn't change. We're in our 40s or 50s and comparing our body to when we were in our 20s. And I mean, that's just not how human beings work.
Oh
And
yeah, no,
so
yeah.
yeah, so then there is this like additional, in addition to all of the other things that make the relationship with food so complicated,
Mm-hmm.
this adds another layer to it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even I'll be the first one to say. I remember actually, it's funny you bring this up because somebody just sent a picture of me to myself, or to, he like he sent me a picture, and it was back from 2018, and I was like, oh my God, like I was in my early 30s, or how I'm 37, so I'm really bad at math, but I was in my early 30s, and I looked at myself, I was like, damn, I was like, you looked really good back then, and I was like, what happened? I mean, obviously, I was joking to myself, but I thought, and it's funny, you like what you just said hit home for me because I was like, I physically like, I mean, like I looked at myself and I was like, maybe you were a little too skinny. Um,
Mm,
and not to say I didn't look unhealthy, but I was like, I'm actually like, I kind of like let me embrace myself now. I'm like, yeah, I might have like gained a little bit of weight, but as like I'm not at that perimenopause state yet, but I know my body's changing and like I was okay with it. I was like, okay, like,
yeah.
and I even told myself, I was like, Danielle, you are not going back. to like, because it my literally my I'm 8, 9 years older than I was, in
Right.
the picture.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so much has changed within my body. I mean, I can even feel it. I know even I'm sure like my palate has changed
Yep. Yep.
throughout my life, and I've noticed that. So I'm like, it's okay. Like that's part of life is to change.
Yes. And I wish somebody would teach us this, right? It's like we're not taught your body, like when when we do go through that kind of initial period of puberty, and for women, you have your period, right? You're taught about that. Okay, you're gonna get your period and your body's gonna change around that. But that's it. That's all that is ever told
Yeah.
to you. And I really wish that, and maybe it's better now, but I wish that people would tell you your body is going to change forever. Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
is no just like hitting some magic number that you're going to stay at for the rest of your life, or some magic pair of pants that you are going to wear for forevermore. It just, bodies don't, they're not meant to work that way. They're,
No.
yeah.
No.
So the fact that we kind of have this unspoken anticipation that they're supposed to has us fighting any little change. And
Hmm.
instead, can you imagine if instead of trying to control it, we could just get curious about
Embrace
like,
it. Yeah.
wow, my I see some changes. I see my body's changing. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's causing the change. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to just like let ourselves go or let the body just do whatever. Like there's all kinds of things we can do to support ourselves for sure. But when we come to our bodies from this place of curiosity, what helps me feel good? What helps me have
Hmm.
energy? What helps me, feel whatever? And really noticing the impacts versus just trying to control it from this
Hmm.
place of fear of what will happen if my body changes, or what people will think of me, or that I won't be loved, or I won't be accepted, or I won't be, worthy of belonging.
Well, and that you bring up a great point. And I like to work with this with my clients. I think our worth, I think in our, westernized culture, we're like conditioned to think like, oh, I need to perform or I need to be a certain way to earn my worth. And it's like, no, like you are worthy as you are, like imperfections and all. And I hope we're moving towards, I mean, I think we are, but it's such like even like an unconscious thing. Even
Yeah.
I do it. Like I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, oh, well, you have to work X amount of hours today in order
Mhm.
to like earn it. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, like, and I'm the one, my inner critic is telling me that. Like nobody else is telling me that
That's
but
right.
myself. And even like sometimes my dad will even be like, he'll be like, you can like slow down today. And I'm like, yeah, but no, like I can't. And it's like, I think it's really hard when we're in this society where we're conditioned that like we have to have output in order to be worthy. But we're like,
Yes.
just by living we are all worthy.
Yes, totally, 100%. And
You know?
you are so not alone in the inability to slow down. It's like, no, I've got to, I mean, I'm like,
That's another like societal thing.
yes. Oh, totally, totally. I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm me too in the challenge of slowing down. And it when you get so much of, I mean, I think for me, I enjoy being active. I enjoy
Me
doing things. I
too.
enjoy
Yeah.
doing a lot. And there are a lot of things that I do just because I want to. And then there are other things that I add on top of it. Like I think I should, or I think I need to, or, this will help, or that type of thing. And then, there is kind of like that internal pressure and that internal push. And one of the things that we do is we end up looking outside of ourselves. Well, what are other people doing? Well, if
Hmm.
she's doing this, then maybe I should do that, and
Hmm.
I would be good at that, so I could do that. And so that's all I think super interesting too. I've just started a new offer to help people. This isn't food specific. This is really just like nervous system, the
Yeah.
person who is like go go go, like I've got to just keep doing, or I'm always listening to podcasts, or I'm reading books, or I'm trying to like do the next thing, to really slow down and listen to your own inner wisdom. Like what is
Hmm.
your inner wisdom telling you about this? And really like being able to then connect that with trust, being able to trust
Hmm.
yourself, to trust that inner guidance that really is the only thing that can know what is powerful for us. But then how do we separate that from the noise, right? Of all the other things and the
Yeah.
inner critic and the, other people. And well, but I've heard this on 5 podcasts. So this must be what I need to do next. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. I think you're right. Like, listen, it's not one size fits all, right? With
Right.
this kind of stuff. It's like what works for Jane that might not work for Danielle and vice versa, but it's
Yeah.
finding your own rhythm. And I think like,
Yes.
as you said, like I'm a big nervous system regulation girl and your body will tell you. Like I
Yes.
consciously will like be like, go, go, go. But trust me, when my body's done, oh, it's done. Like
Yes.
like it'll tell me
Yes.
with exhaustion. I know I'm getting to the point of like overworking when like I feel myself getting like irritable and like I'm like, all right,
Yep.
let's stop,
Yep.
working or let's stop pushing because and that's another thing I think I know that's a coping mechanism of mine is pushing through. And I've learned
Yes.
that that is not you can't push your way through to get
That's
to
right.
regulation.
Yep.
Like that's
That's
like
right.
I haven't met anybody that's like, yes, I kept on pushing and then I got regulated. Like
Right.
no, like
No,
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 no
that's not
one
how
has
it
said that
works.
ever.
Right, right. Well, and it's so true because I remember when I was really kind of trying to figure out my binges and figuring out, okay, what is the pattern? Like, is there a
Mm.
pattern here? What's going on? And I realized two things. Number one, I would often binge on Mondays, and it would
Mm.
be after I would have. So a lot of people will like do really well during the week and then they'll binge on the weekend. That can be a
Yes,
pattern for them.
yes.
I was kind of different. So weekends, I was great. I'm a very active person. I do triathlon, I do a lot of travel and training and all kinds of things. Well, I would do all of that over the weekend and be really busy. And then on Monday, I would just expect myself to just keep going. And sometimes Monday would be a day off of exercise. And so I'm thinking, one, I don't need to eat as much because I'm not working out. So I'm not feeding
Mhm.
myself as much when in reality, the day when you're resting after really big efforts often requires even more food
Yeah, it's
to
like a
kind of
recover day.
exactly to rebuild.
Yeah.
And then I was also expecting myself to do all kinds of things at work. And so again, it was just push, 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 go, go, go. And I realized, wow, you know what? The only time I stop, the only time I slow down is after a binge. And
Hmm.
then I would just sit on the couch for hours and I would
Mm.
scroll, I would whatever, but it was the only time I stopped. And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? That was like
Yeah.
my body's way of forcing me to slow down. It's like, well, if you're not going to slow down, if you're not going to rest or recover, I mean, we have to recover. We can't, you literally cannot just be going with your car on the gas pedal
No,
the
all the
entire
time.
time.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
Same with our bodies. Like we literally can't. And so the body will figure out a way for you to slow down. And so for some people, that I have a girlfriend who she very much is like constantly foot on the gas. She gets sick quite a bit. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Our immune
it's
system is,
that's kind of her body's way of, all right, if you won't slow down, I'm going to force you to slow down by getting you sick. So then my system is like, well, we'll throw a binge in there. Like that's how
yeah,
we'll
that's
get you
your
to slow
signal.
down if you're
Yeah.
not going to. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
oh yeah, and everything, from I don't know what mine is. Mine probably is like just pure like exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
I just get to the point where I'm just like, yeah, like you gotta like I push myself to that
Yeah.
limit. But
Yep.
I learned, and you talk about like breaking patterns, like you talked about nervous system regulation. It's something that I'm newfound. I always knew this, but I'm like putting more into practice, because I'm finding practice breaks patterns. And
Yes.
because you can't just do it once, right? You have to
No.
continuously do it. You
Yep.
can like our nervous systems are something that you can train. It knows
Yes.
you based off of your pattern. So if you break a or break a toxic cycle or an unhealthy cycle and try to train it into a more healthy, mechanism, then you're able to, rebound a little bit faster. I'm not saying you're never gonna, I always say the point of nervous system regulation isn't just to be like calm and zen all the time. Like that's
No.
impossible.
No.
Like
Nope.
we're all human. We're
Yep.
gonna get triggered. We have feelings like so like but the goal of being regulated is so like you can actually feel, I think,
Yes.
feel your
Yeah.
feelings.
Yep.
And
Yep.
also in times of dysregulation, you're able just to like rebound that much quicker. I'm not saying
Yes.
don't feel your feelings, but you're able to, come back in a more present, mindful way than just like reacting.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. There's the resilience. How quickly can we rebound? How quickly can we come
Hmm.
back after we do get triggered? And then there's also with the regulation, and as we kind of expand our ability to tolerate things, then we can be around people, we can be around situations, we can be around circumstances that in the past felt like
Mm,
unbearable or like we
yes.
couldn't handle. We expand our capacity. And so then things that before felt triggering, felt activating, felt like scary or unsafe, now it's like we increase the safety that we have
Hmm.
because we're increasing our tolerance and what we're able to kind of to be with, which is so cool to even think about what we can do with expanding our capacity, where it's like we're just able to hold more than we were before. And that, I love that piece of the work. It's like where you can look back and say,
Yes.
wow, look at me.
Look
I
how
just
far
went
I've
through this
come.
experience, and a year ago me would have just gone off the rails or would have, been binging for days or whatever, the previous version of me. And
Yes.
I can think, well, would I like it to be better? Sure. We all have places
Of
we want to
course.
keep
Of course.
improving. But
Yeah.
yeah, to be able to see that as we expand our capacity and really notice it, acknowledge it, like celebrate that progress, it's so important.
Oh, I love that. I love moments in my life where like I look back, I like, or even after I like react something or not react, because I'm learning no response is also a response. And I'm like, wow, like old Danielle would have totally like reacted, but look how I'm just like not letting it not impact me, but just like I'm just yeah, I'm like okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that I think it shows growth, but also I think for me personally, because anytime you have a trigger, whether it be food related, whether it be behavioral, whether it be emotional, that's telling you something you need to heal. And
Yes.
that's where how I see triggers. And it's like, so if it doesn't trigger me or even like activate me, I know that like not only have I grown, but I've also done the work to heal that wound because that wound is no
Yes.
longer a wound anymore,
Yes.
you
Yep.
know?
Yep. So powerful. And when we do that, we can see it and we can celebrate it. We're showing our brain this is important. We want more of
Hmm.
this. So
Yes.
it's like kind of, giving the brain the evidence. It's like, yeah, let's do more of that. And those are the things we want to repeat because it feels good. It feels good to notice progress. It feels good to notice,
Hmm.
wow, I'm showing up in a way that feels more in alignment now than I was. Like, how did that happen? What did I do? I want more of that. Like really, then that kind of sets the vision for the brain of what we want to create. And that is far more powerful. I want anybody listening to this to hear me say this. What you focus on expands. So if you are focused on not wanting to do something, I don't want to binge. I don't want to eat in this way. I don't want to do this behavior that I keep doing that I don't like. Your brain doesn't hear the negative. You will just
Mm.
keep doing the thing. So it's more, instead of what you don't want, we need to put the brain on what you do want. What
Hmm.
do you
Yep.
want to create for yourself? What does a peaceful relationship with food look like?
Look like,
What
yeah.
does I want to be calm, connected, and confident around food is very different than I don't want to binge today.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, like
so
changing your
different for your
relationship
brain.
with it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's another thing too. I like love I love to speak about because I am a coach, but I'm going back to school to be a marriage and family therapist, and we are relational therapists. And I always tell people, Name one thing you don't have a relationship with."
Mm,
And I
love it.
think
Yeah.
yeah, and I think people, and I hope that whoever's listening to this, I want to empower them that like we all have a relationship with food. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think there's one human. If you're, I mean, maybe I could be wrong. I love being wrong because that means I can continue to grow. But I mean, we as human, we need a relationship with food because
Yeah.
as we were talking about, is nourishment and
Yes.
all that fun stuff. But I think food is just like the what's the word? Not the mechanism. It's just like the conductor. There's something
Mm,
else, then like there's the relationship behind it that I think
yeah.
that as you said earlier, you know what I mean? It was like the food is just it's not the why,
Yes. That's
it's
right. That's right.
it's
Yes.
just the thing that's there. That's I'm trying to think of a better word than the mechanism. It'll probably come to me as I'm talking. I'll be like, oh my God.
That's
But
it.
it's just like,
Yes.
it's just that connector to something deeper and that
Yeah.
relationship you have with food.
Well, and I always say that it's not the food itself. It's the energy behind it. It's the energy
Mm,
behind the decision. So you could be at a restaurant and two people could order the exact same plate of food, and
hmm
the energy behind their decision, what's happening in their brain, really is what's going to impact it. And if one of them is just like, let's say two people order the same, we're just going to call it a
meal.
salad for
Yeah,
we're just going
yeah,
to
yeah.
call it a salad for sake of the description. Let's say two people order the exact same salad. One person may be like, I love this food. I love these greens. I
hmm
love these
Yeah.
vegetables. Like, I love the way that I feel afterwards. Like, yes, this is what I want. Like, just this feels nourishing. This feels supportive. I love this. And somebody else is like, I have to eat this because this is the lowest calorie thing on the menu,
hmm
and anything
hmm
else is I'm afraid of. I can't eat anything else. This is what I'm supposed to eat. It's like the energy behind it
hmm
is so different. And so you can't, and the same could be for a plate of burger and fries. I mean,
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
it's not just because it's a salad, but it's like the food itself is nowhere near as important as the energy behind the decision. Am I eating this because I think I can't trust myself? Am I eating this
hmm
because I think I can't do anything else? Am I eating this because I'm afraid of, if I eat what I really want, of what it will do to me? Like, what's really, like,
Yeah.
what is that energy and the story and the belief systems that are behind the choices that I'm making?
Absolutely. And you mentioned self-trust, and I would love to ask you what in your journey was that moment for you that you were like, all right, I feel comfortable and trusting myself and my decisions, and I feel empowered. And
Mm.
what was that? Was there like a turning moment for you, or is there like a pivotal moment in time or something you remember just feeling differently about, and you could finally like trust yourself in making your decisions towards food?
you it's such a good question. I feel like I'm still, honestly, I feel like I'm still on a self-trust journey. Like,
Yeah, I think
and
we
I
all are.
I think we all are, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think we
And
all are.
yeah, and what's powerful though is I can notice when I'm slipping from it. And I
Mm,
notice when I'm in it. Like, I can feel again that the energy difference of when I start questioning, when I start doubting, when I
mhm,
start kind of looking outside myself or wondering, kind of like asking more questions, or, when some of that starts showing up, I know, oh, somewhere I'm not trusting myself.
mhm,
Whereas when I'm feeling more confident, when I'm feeling more like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and whether it turns out the way I want it to or not, I'll figure it out. I'll support myself. I will have my own back. I will
mhm,
learn from it and adapt and adjust. Like, when I'm in that place, it just feels so much more solid in my body. So I think my
mhm,
self trust journey is more now of, it's almost like the inner compass of when I start feeling shaky or uncertain or second guessing, or, kind of like going back into some of those old patterns. It's like somewhere I'm not trusting myself. Maybe it's
mm.
food, but maybe it's more just around a decision or what I
Yeah.
want or what's next for me. And so just being able to feel the difference on the inside when I'm in self trust and when I'm not has been, I think,
Mhm.
probably more powerful. It's almost like that compass of like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm on the self trust journey, or, ooh, I think I'm heading the other way.
And I love that you said it's like a feeling. It's like you
Yes.
didn't like, what I mean? It's not like because I think we get, especially with like trusting things, I know for me at least, like it's like you want all this like evidence and okay, like but it's like no, it's like just a knowing you have in
Yes.
yourself that like you're
Yes.
like, okay, this is the right decision, and it might look differently than other decisions you made, or it might, not present in the same moments, but like it's that like okay, like I got this, and
Yeah.
no matter what happens next, like we'll go from there. And I
Yeah.
love too that throughout this conversation you've been saying to lead with curiosity. I think if
Hmm.
we just in general in life, not just like with our healing, with everything, if we led with more curiosity, I think this world would be a little bit more of a more open and compassionate
Yes.
place versus judgment, shame.
Yes.
Because if you lead with curiosity, it's like it's softer,
Totally.
you
So
know.
two things about that. One, when you said a little while ago, like I love being wrong because then it
Oh, I
it
love,
means
oh,
that I've
prove
got
me wrong.
room
I
to
always say that to
grow.
people, prove me wrong, please. Like,
When you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember so distinctly. I used to love being right. Like,
mm,
I mean, I would buy those, sometimes you look at the cards in the if you're buying like a greeting card, and
yeah,
there's
yeah,
usually one that's like, oh, I'm right, I'm always
yeah,
right,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like I would always buy those cards. Like I wanted to be right. I loved proving people wrong, like very, very black, white, right,
Hmm.
wrong, all, nothing, good, bad.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was my lens. And I loved being right, but I hated being wrong. And because of that,
Mm,
I think there very much was, it was very hard. It was very rigid, but I also was not open-minded. I was
mm,
so convinced that I was right that I wasn't even curious or open to other ideas or
mhm,
other perspectives. And so being able to see that shift, and then just now when you said like it's softer, I remember a period of time pretty deep into my recovery, this idea of like softness. And I
mhm,
had such a visceral negative response to that. I was like, I don't want to be
oh,
soft. I
mm,
mean, as women, especially, I think probably maybe not as much now, but at least kind of in my era of growing up, it was like I didn't want to be soft. I wanted to be like,
mm,
I wanted to be lean. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to
uh-huh,
be,
yep,
like, I wanted
sharp,
the, I wanted,
yeah,
yeah, like sharp, bright,
yep,
strong, rigid. Like I wanted that, like, no, soft. I do not want to be soft in any way.
hmm,
I don't want to be like a pushover. I don't want to have like
yes, yes,
soft, squishy
yes,
belly.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
right. There was nothing about softness that attracted me at all. And that was a journey that, I had to go through of really then opening up, becoming more open, becoming more curious. What is so bad about softness? And now
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, I can see just the extremes that I was living
Mm.
on, not only in my thinking, but then because my thinking extremes, I was thinking at such extremes, of course, then it would show up
It would
in
show
my
up in your
food.
behaviors, yeah,
Yeah.
with food.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually, when you
Yep.
said that, I was like, oh yeah, like that makes sense that you
Yep.
binge because you went from
Yep.
0 to 100. It's
Yep.
like there was
Exactly.
no middle, there was
That's
no
right.
gray. It was like zero. And I'll be fully honest with you. I wouldn't say that I've had any issues with food, but I definitely like. I mean, as a kid, I loved to eat. Like my parents said, like I had a wonderful metabolism. Like I was like, well, I could eat anything, and like I was just like I was very lucky. I will say, like most people aren't like that. But as I got older, I will say because I like to eat, like I love food. I had to, adjust because I'm like like when I said when your hormones change, when
Mm-hmm.
your
Yep.
metabolism slows, you're like you can't like keep like you can't eat like you used to, like or you need
Yeah.
to, find other ways to burn calories, go to the gym, whatever. If you want to continue eating at that many calories a day, but I will share with you, like, of course, I will tell you, like, if I'm having a sad day or I'm disappointed in something, like, they call it comfort food for a reason. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
yeah, you know what
Yes.
I mean? Like, even on a
Yes.
cold day, like, just like, yeah, just, I don't know, like a mac and cheese, like, just want
Yep.
to curl up and just,
Yep.
comfort yourself with food. So I just want to normalize that, like, it is just because, like, if you have a moment like that, it doesn't mean like, that's a bit, you know what I mean? Like it's your body, that's what your
Totally.
body needs at that point. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Just
Yes.
as long as you're not, going to the extreme or, or that becomes like a larger pattern, then it starts impacting your health and whatnot. Cause that's
Well, and the
been
problem is that we get these messages, you shouldn't eat emotionally. You shouldn't eat for
true.
comfort.
Yeah.
It's bad. And it's like, no, actually it's not. People have been eating for comfort for since there was
Ever. Yeah.
food. I mean,
Yeah.
really, since there was food, like it makes sense. There is a reason that when somebody dies, food is
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
in
Everybody brings
plenty,
their
right?
food.
There is a reason for that. So part of the problem is this messaging that you shouldn't eat that way. You
Mm.
shouldn't eat emotionally. You shouldn't eat for comfort. No, sometimes we really just it is comforting if we can
Absolutely.
allow ourselves to be comforted by it. The problem is when somebody goes to comfort eat and they either say, I shouldn't be doing this, this is bad, this is wrong,
Hmm.
I'm not going to do this tomorrow, never again, all of that, then that, brings up all of the activation in the nervous system. So that becomes a problem. Or if we're using food to
Hmm.
completely disconnect from any emotion or from anything that's going on, then that and I mean that happened to me. Like it was,
Hmm.
I really would kind of consider when I would binge, I would consider it just turning the lights off. Like it was
Mm.
the way
We're
that I
shutting
would,
down.
yep,
Yeah.
I would quiet everything that was
Uh-huh.
going on. And yes, then that does become a challenge. And again, we can get under the hood and we can look at all of these things. But the idea that we're not supposed to eat when we're for comfort or to feel
Yeah.
better is really part of the problem in the first
Yeah,
place.
and I would challenge to anybody that says like, because people say that all the time, like, don't make any like major decision like off of emotion. But I'm like, we're human beings. So like
Yeah.
any decision I do make, like most of them, I will say there probably is a feeling behind it. And I say this as like a former marketer too. That's all when people want you to buy something, when you're marketing, all your marketing is a feeling.
Yes,
You
that's
know what
right.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
food, other or otherwise, a pair of jeans that fits really well, or skin cream that makes you feel a certain way. Like that's all we're kind of making our decisions on. So as you said, to
Yes.
be it's kind of irrational to for you to be like, well, don't emotionally eat. Of course, within reason. I mean, with
Yeah.
anything, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't. Yeah, I think it's and I will say too, on the opposite end, like the more positive end, like I know when my body is craving like good food, like you talked about the
Mhm.
salad example, like sometimes like I mean, I will say like I mean, I'm not really a big like fast food person. Like I mean, some actually will be honest with you, sometimes like yeah, I'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm craving like a McDonald's French fry." Like I'll just be like and I'll, like I'll just satisfy the craving. But there are some times where like my body is craving like greens or like just
Mhm.
something like crispy. Like
Yep.
after the holidays is probably the perfect
Yes.
example where like
Sure.
you kind
Yep.
of want to like I'm like I actually like did like not like a cleanse but like I just started like juicing and I'm like I can my body I didn't even like I'm not a juicer. I've never juiced before, but I was just like I just feel like my body needed like just like
Yeah.
nutrients like
Yeah.
and like your body as your bodies will tell you.
Our bodies are so wise,
Oh, they are.
so
They are.
wise. The
We just need to
problem
listen to
comes,
them.
that's right. We just need to listen instead of trying to control, trying to change, trying
Mhm.
to fix. If we can literally listen, there's so much wisdom that our bodies have for us.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big like listen to your body. Like your body is giving you instructions. It's just up to us, as you said, don't control them because I'm sure like in our brains we want to control, but our bodies and our somatics will tell us.
Yep.
And then our brains can only go so far, and then
That's
our
right.
bodies will show up.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
But Jane,
Yeah.
this has been
Yeah.
such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I love how we went so many different which I love from self-worth to food to healing to growth to, listening to your bodies, your nervous system, all the things. So thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful conversation. And if you're looking to work with Jane, her website is janepilger.com. And then you're on all the socials, correct?
Yep. Hmm.
And tell everybody your podcast once again is um
Binge eating breakthrough.
perfect. Well, everybody
Yeah.
here that's interested in finding Jane on another podcast, listen to her over there. And as always, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify.